Okay, this is one of the stranger types of quadratics, but it's also the easiest to solve. It doesn't have an end term. It doesn't have what we call a C term. It has an A and a B, but no C value. So to solve this, nice and straightforward. First of all, we factorize. Now, to factorize this, we simply ask what's common to both. So we're not trying to get two brackets with an X and an X. Okay, this is not our approach. Yeah, you could do it like that, but we're doing something a little bit different here. So what we're going to do, and we are ultimately having two brackets, but I won't put them into two brackets. Remember, a bracket only means we treat the contents as one thing. So let's try it again. So we've got 2x squared plus 5x is equal to 0. So I'm going to ask what is common to this and this. Well, I've got an x that's common, so x is common to both. So I ask what times x makes 2x squared? Well, 2x times x makes 2x squared. And what times x makes 5x? Well, plus 5 would make that 5x. So I've got, let's just check it. I've got x times 2x is equal to 2x squared, and x times 5 is 5x. Now, I did mention you could have it in two brackets if you wanted, because brackets only mean you treat them as one thing. And really, if we were going to do that, it would be x plus 0 times x, 2x, plus 5 is equal to 0. That's really what that means. And that's what I mean when I said you could do it like this if you wanted. But let's treat it like that for a moment. Remember, we're trying to find what x would have to be if this whole thing was 0, or if this whole thing was 0, yeah? So what would x have to be if this whole thing was 0? Well, it wouldn't even matter if the 0 was there. If x was 0, then the whole thing here and all of this would also be 0. So we could say either, and I'll write this out separately, either x is equal to 0, or you've got 2x plus 5 is 0. So in this case, we're just going to subtract 5 from both sides and divide by 2. So let's just do that now. So I've got 2x plus 5 is equal to 0. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. There it is. So now I've got 2x is equal to negative 5. Now to find x, I'm simply going to divide both sides by 2. So I end up with an x is equal to, and I'm just going to leave it as negative 5 on 2. You could say negative 2.5 or negative 2.5 or some other such thing, but this is really a much better answer. So the answer is x equals, so you can write the solution as x equals negative 5 over 2 or 0. Now, notice we put the smallest one first. Negative 205 over 2 is smaller than 0. If you think about it on a number line, this would appear further to the left than 0, which would probably appear in the middle. The other way which you could write it, which I actually prefer, is x is an element of the set of, and we're going to have negative 5 over 2, comma, space, 0, close brackets. And that is, I think this is probably a more professional way of writing it. And certainly if you are a university teacher, or in particular, let's imagine you were, say, presenting this as part of a scientific paper at some conference or international convention for scientists and mathematicians, either would be acceptable. This would probably be a little bit more common, though. So x is an element of, that's one of those, it's an E, yes, well, it's curly E's, yes? An element of the set of negative 5 over 2 or 0. So it's either that or that. This can't be both of them at the same time. All right, hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully that answers the question. By the way, thank you for asking it, by the way. Also, apologies for not getting it done immediately. All right, the computer outages are not good. All right, thanks, folks.